about. All right, let's see. So what I wanted to talk about today is how we can select which alts we should be trading once the market heats up and which alts we should ignore. So in general, what I wanted to look at is some higher time frame analysis on some altcoins, some popular alts, and some alts that you absolutely shouldn't touch, and how we can make sure that no one actually is going to try to invest in a coin that doesn't move, right? Because we all know the coins like XRP and stuff that just don't do anything. So what I wanted to talk about is a way to make sure that that doesn't happen. In general, what I wanted to show is how you can easily discern those. So what I usually do for this is I use volume for this. So whenever a coin starts running, right, you will notice that newer coins like RNDR, TIA, or Jupe, or those kind of coins, they run like way harder than old coins. Like if LTC, for example, pumps like 10%, that's like crazy, right? Because like these are like the massive weekly candles. This is like 26% in a week, which is absolutely massive. While if you go in Jupe, well, this is like 100% in a week. Like that's insane. So what I wanted to show is how you can see why that's the case. So this is a concept that's gonna be very important once the market heats up and once all start actually crawling out of the depths again and start climbing again. So what we want to look at is one thing. Altcoins that have already passed like a cycle, something like LTC, which has had multiple cycles, right? Something like AVAX, for example. I think AVAX in here as well, yeah. That has already had a cycle. They will have a bunch of people who bought, like over here, for example. Like people that bought this, people that bought this, people that bought this, they bought all these areas. And essentially, the people that bought here, they are going to be looking for an exit because, well, they've been underwater for so long, for like more than 2 years, right? They probably want to get out of their positions, which is why on a coin like AVAX ran really hard, right? And this is a pretty good project. But that's why if you look at this area over here, essentially, this is where most of the volume in the last bull market was. That's where we stopped. Because that's the area where a lot of old holders are going to try to get out of the coin. And that's the area where there's a lot of volume and where people are going to be looking to sell. Now, this is not exactly an issue because every coin is going to have this, right? Every coin that passed the cycle is going to have this. Which is why AVAX ran pretty hard, right? AVAX ran like 600%. That's a really good amount. Well, on the other hand, if you look at a coin like I looked at, what's it called? If you look at a coin like Phil, for example, and Phil is a coin I personally like, but Phil's a very good example of this. Phil is at an area where I'm gonna have to look at it at his own log as well. Actually, I'll look at it like this. Phil's at an area where it has been trading for such an incredible amount of time. Like we are still in the same area that we were of January 2022. So if I would, for example, pull a volume profile over the entire range, you can see that we have the VAH, the POC, and the VIL all like in the same range. Like we are still in the same range that we were 2 years ago. This concept is the exact sign you need to know to stay away from a coin like this. And a coin can have really good fundamentals, right? Like I like Filecoin as a coin, but but we have passed like an entire bull cycle, and Bitcoin went from like 15K all the way to like 72, right? And while Bitcoin rallied from 15 to 72, all Filecoin managed to do is stay in this exact same accumulation range. Like, it still hasn't broken out. So in this case, a coin like Filecoin, like, I might look to buy it over here, but essentially the only areas you want to look for something like this is if it either starts flipping this box and then goes up and actually flips it to support, or if we actually tap the lows again. Because I think this volume profile indicates really well is that basically all of the volume that has ever been traded is over here in this box. So let's say if this is like this is probably like around like 90% of the total volume, like, you are gonna find such an incredible amount of resistance in this exact area. Like, this area between the POC and the VAH is gonna be like by far your biggest resistance. And now, if you actually break above that area, as you can see in the volume profile over here, there's barely any volume. So there is barely any resistance above if we actually flip it. Which is why you want to look for coins that have already flipped this box. Because those are the coins that have like an amazing amount of room above. So as you can see, this would be a 100% pump to the top of the range. But if we take the top of the box, well, where's the first resistance? If we look at the volume profile, it's probably somewhere around here where it starts increasing again. So that's like the first resistance you're gonna face is already 130%. And if you start going higher up, well, you know, for this is 200%, and after that it's like completely free reign. That is the exact reason why you want to look for coins that have already broken out of this range. So the general rule of thumb I keep is I use fib tools, and I want coins that have already passed at least the all-time 382. So at least this area, which for Phil would be way too high, right? I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. So in Phil's case, I'm going to be looking for a flip of this box. ENS is a very good example of this. ENS is a coin that has been in this exact accumulation range for a really long time. But ENS, as you can see, is above the VAH, is above the POC, is above VAL, and above most of the VWAPs. ENS is actually in the process of breaking out of this accumulation range. And as you can see on the left, as I showcased before, this area here has barely any volume. So if we actually start building on top of this area, if we start closing above, if we start retesting and flipping this area, we're gonna see something that's followed up by like, what is it, like 2 years of accumulation with barely any resistance above. So if this actually gets flipped, you can expect like very violent moves up, which is why you want to be positioned into something like ENS rather than Phil, because Phil has like such a long way to go. Phil's like somewhere here, right? Like somewhere in this area. Phil has such a long way to go that there is actually barely any reason to look at a coin like that instead of a coin like ENS. And that brings me to the following point, where newer coins like, let's say we have Jupe in here, right? Newer coins like Jupe or like FET, I think FET is a very good example. Coins like FET have already done that. FET had this, this is the previous bull market high, right over here. We had this accumulation range kind of over here. Actually had a few smaller accumulation ranges, right? But we had it over here. We then went above. We flipped this area on the candle over here. Got another retest of this area over here. And then after this retest, we absolutely sent. And that is exactly the kind of price action you want to be looking for. You want coins to break out of this range. We'll be consolidating in this range over here. Consolidate, consolidate, consolidate. You want it to break out of this range and you want to enter on this retest. that is the general price action that we want to be looking for the upcoming part of the bull market, right? And you're going to find most of these coins are going to be in leading narratives. So something like ETH betas, for example, are going to do really well with the ETF. So they are likely to outperform. Something like AI coins have all retraced quite a bit, like FET, right? FET has retraced, I think it was like 70% from all-time high. Yeah, like about 70% from all-time high. So these coins are at major retraces, and if that's the case, for example, it's at it tapped like this area as well, where you can see like these coins have come all the way back where they are flipping the previous area. That's what you want to be looking for. You don't want to be looking for something like this. Something like this, still in the same accumulation range. Most of the volume is built up in this range. So your reward is pretty low. Your reward for this would be 64%, while if you flip the box, your next target, which would be this wick, is almost 3 times as high. It is 152%, which is almost 3 times more than the 60% over here, right? That is not everything. That is a very general rule of thumb, but it works really well. And it helps you stay away from some coins. So if I go to, let's say, I think Zil should have this, Zilliqa. Yeah, if I go to Zilliqa, for example, well, you already know by just looking at this chart on a weekly, you know, okay, well, it might be at support, right? So technically this would be an area to buy, but there is no reason to buy a coin in this range, where you can also buy a coin that's doing this. There's simply not that much reward. Like, you want to have coins in your portfolio that have like a lot of room to the upside, that actually have like less bag holders above, less resistance above, and more room to fly. And you can see how well that works on newer coins, right? So if I go to let's say if I go to Say, for example, right? Say is a rather new coin. Say had this kind of range over here that had a bit of volume. We broke out, and then you can see exactly what kind of moves coins can make that don't have any resistance like ahead of them. If there's no resistance, there's no like active reason to sell other than, hey, I've made a lot of profit, I'll sell partials, right? While on other coins, like on like an LTC, well, people are gonna hard sell on areas like these because it's like, well, this is resistance, I'm gonna sell here, which makes a lot more sense than selling something like Say while it's over here, right, in price discovery. And that is one of the reasons, or one of the things you want to look for when buying new coins in this market, is that you don't want to buy coins like this, because this is essentially the maximum you're gonna get. The maximum reward you're gonna get on LTC is essentially 60%, while the maximum reward on, let's say, FET, for example, well, your first like all-time high target is already 120% away, which is already twice as much as LTC. Yeah, you missed like 15 minutes, but everything's gonna be recorded, so you can watch it back later if you want. This is the first concept I wanted to talk about. Are there any questions about that? About like the ranges, about the volume profile, like etc. Oh, all right. Then I move on to the next thing I wanted to talk about, which is BTC pairings. A great way to find out which coins are going to perform well and which coins are not is something like a BTC pair. Because as you can see here, Aave is still in this range, right? And Aave is a coin which I think will perform really well, even though it's still in this range. And why do I think that? Well, let's go to Aave BTC. Aave BTC is a chart that might be in a downtrend, right? But I think nearly everyone knows this pattern, like the tightening wedge or the descending wedge. We have a nice pattern. The highs are getting lower, but they're getting tighter, right? The angle is steeper. We have some some bullish divergences showing up. We are reacting really well to areas that were previously support. So if I were to draw a box here, you can see, well, we reacted really hard over here. And we bounced up quite a bit. We reacted over here as well and bounced up again. We are now sitting at the bottom of that area. On top of that, we have some high time frame mnemonics. We are flipping like the slightly lower time frame VWAPs, like the dailies. Like this is a coin which even if it's still in a consolidation range, it has a lot of life in it. Like you can see on the BTC pairs that the moment this, for example, starts either flipping the yearly VWAP over here, or like the wedge, it can perform really well because you have like such a long consolidation and so much liquidity you can take over here from all of these wicks, and such a big pattern that your targets are going to be really high. To put it into perspective, if I were to draw if I were to draw the technical targets of this harmonic to give an idea of what you can expect from breakouts like this, well, your first technical target is going to be this 382, and your second is going to be the 618, which would lead you to, from CMP, right, which would lead you to a 360% increase against BTC, which is ridiculous, right? Those are really high numbers compared to BTC, especially if you consider that we still think BTC is going to go higher this cycle. So imagine if BTC starts hitting targets like 80, 90, or 100k, and you also own this coin that's going to outperform BTC. So if you start seeing something like this on such a BTC pair, you can expect it to outperform the market really well. Which is why you want to be looking at BTC pairs. Like, BTC pairs are a great way of finding strong coins. Like, for example, if I go to Ondo, and I can't actually go to Ondo BTC, so I have to do it over here. If I go to Ondo, this is Ondo against BTC, right? So just how well this coin performs compared to BTC. Ondo is in a very textbook uptrend. This is absolute textbook, right? You're simply consolidating, breaking the high, consolidating, breaking the high, consolidating, breaking the high. It's actually just uptrending, like absolute, like complete textbook uptrend. If you're high, if you're low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, and higher low. These are the type of BTC pairs you want to be looking at. If you see a coin with a chart like this on the BTC pairing, that's like a really good coin to own. Which is also why, let's say, which coin is also doing well? We have LDO, right? LDO BTC. So what LDO did, for example, and you can use any kind of classical TA, right? These charts they might behave a bit different than USDT pairings, but TA works the same way. So what you can see is LDO had this massive run up here, right? And we formed this kind of bullish structure like this, higher highs and higher lows. We broke that trend here, and we came all the way back to these lows. We wicked these lows, we grabbed liquidity. At the moment we grabbed that liquidity, LDO started going back into an uptrend, which is what we've been seeing on the LDO USDT pair, right? LDO on a lower time frame on the daily has shown that after we wicked that liquidity, we had our lower low, right? Our last lower low and our last lower high. Well, we made a higher high, we made a higher low, and another higher high. This chart is now in an uptrend, and this is the reason why LDO is outperforming the market so hard. Because this chart, like LDO's, completely switched trend, and it's now steadily uptrending. You can expect, for example, because this is our new high, right? If we start forming a low around here, and we start doing something like this, breaking that 113, and then going above again, we can expect LDO to outperform the market even harder, which is exactly why I've been looking at LDO a lot. We entered a spot position somewhere over here. I cleared the chart this morning to clear some things up. We're up about like 30% on the spot position, right? But I'm expecting that trend to continue, which is why I haven't been calling any additional trims and why I've been looking at this long for a shorter time frame. Because even though LDO itself is dropping, the BTC pairing still looks really strong. Like the BTC pairing is in an uptrend, the USDT pairing is in an uptrend, and coins related to it are also pretty strong. Like for example, ETH. Well, ETH has a really good narrative, which gives LDO a really good narrative. This LDO is like a textbook example of a coin you should be looking at because it's not that old, right? It's not a new coin either, but it's not that old. You have like significant price action where like we're climbing out, we have a lot of volume. We have like this was a previous high, previous low, higher high, higher low, right? It's in an uptrend. It has a really good narrative because it's a token heavily related to ETH, and ETH is going to get the ETF. The ETFs don't actually have staking, so LDO with a liquid staking protocol is going to catch a lot of attention. So things you want to look for, to summarize it a bit, coins that have broken out of their previous range, coins that have a lot of volume, that have a good price structure or a very strong BTC pairing, and coins with a narrative. Because everyone remembers when, for example, every meme started like completely sending it, right? When we saw Pepe just pull like more than a 10x in like a few days, or for example, every AI coin was simply sending it up, and you're like, well, what does it even do? I've got no clue. I don't even know what Fed does, right? I know what RNDR does, but I don't know what Fed does. I know that it's AI, so I bought it a while ago because, well, it's AI. It's going to go up. That's like a narrative you want to look for. So, for example, now I'm looking at ETH coins because of the ETH ETF. I'm looking at ETH, I'm looking at LDO, I'm looking at ENS, and I'm looking at similar coins. So, BTC pairing, breaking out of the range, strong price structure, and a narrative. Those are like a kind of a checklist that you want to tick off, and you want at least a few of those before you start considering a coin, right? You can, if you really like a coin, you can make exceptions, right? So let's say you really like Silica for some reason, then you can buy this, right, at reasonable areas. Like we are at the lows, you can reasonably buy this, but you have to keep in mind that the reward is not as big as it would be on other coins. So maybe you want to consider putting in a bit less, right? Because the reward is less. And that is like the general thing you want to look for. Aave, by the way, is one of those things as well. It also has a narrative because, well, with ETH popping off, or if ETH catching bids with the ETF, right? On-chain DeFi is going to get more attention, and Aave is like a really strong DeFi token. So that is one of the coins I'm also looking at. Which is why I made this little list that I actively use, which is like a list of my strongest bets for this round. Which is like ETH, ENS, LDO, Ondo, Pendle, Fed. These are all really strong coins, right? Coins that I'm confident that will do well in this cycle, regarding of what lower time frames look like. Alright, are there any questions? Or is everything clear? I'll wait for everyone to finish typing for a second. How can we know when a bull run is going to start? Okay, I think you're referring to like altcoin bull runs, right? Because BTC as well. BTC is clearly in a bull run already. We went up like this, like 500%. Yeah. What you want to look for on altcoins is a few things. The most important chart for alt is BTC dominance. BTC dominance indicates, well, literally what the name suggests, right? The dominance BTC has over the market. So BTC dominance at 54.6% means that BTC's market cap is about 55% of the entire market cap of crypto. So if BTC dominance is going up, that means BTC is taking up a higher amount of the market cap. If it goes down, that means less. So if you want altcoins to do well, you need BTC dominance to go down. So if you want the altcoin bull run to start, we need to see BTC dominance at some significant resistance. Find resistance, start entering a downtrend, that's when alts are gonna have a good time. So you might already see it because we're in a very high time frame chart. We have tapped my resistance. We tapped it on the I think this was with the war announcement like a while ago. With like, yeah, I think this was with when like every alt dropped like 40 to 50% in like a matter of a few hours. We tapped my resistance area. This is the area where I said if we tap this area, we are gonna enter a long-term alt season. And you might think like long-term alt season alts are absolutely down right now. Like, yes, that is true. With long-term alt season, I mean that the indication of this would be your CTD, which would put you at, what is it, like a 570-day ETA on this. So I think in general that the market in the future, as we're in right now, is going to become better and better for altcoins. We want this chart to go down for altcoins to do better than Bitcoin, and we have tapped my first like significant area of resistance. This is the first area. This is the area I'm currently looking at, and I think this will hold. I think this is going to be the highest we go. If this is not the highest we go, then I think we're going to tap the 618 over here. So that box is my second area. So I'll put some shorts on it to indicate the direction. This is what I'm looking at. We've already tapped this, and if this fills, I'm going to be looking at this. Okay, so an example right now, BTC does not have resistance, and now it's a good opportunity to buy altcoins, just so I understand. Yeah, so what you can be looking at is BTC dominance is at resistance, right? We can expect the risk reward for longs to be a lot better for altcoins right now, because we can reasonably argue that this chart is going to go down. So that puts altcoins into interest. Then we're going to go on BTC, and if we go on BTC, well, BTC looks good. We're at support right now, which means reasonably saying it's more likely to go up than down. Because keep in mind, you want to buy low and sell high. So you want to buy support, you want to sell resistance. So yeah, BTC looks good. BTC dominance looks bad. That is a very good indication of well, you might be at a good area to buy alts. And that doesn't mean you should like full put everything into alts, right? It doesn't mean you should allocate 100% CMP at all of your alts. That means that, well, you can now reasonably allocate parts of your portfolio, parts of your BTC and those kind of things to altcoins instead. For example, Ethereum or LDO or Ondo or whichever coin you like, you can start layering in on that. Because as I showcased on BTC dominance, right, we are at a logical area for BTC dominance to go down, but not the only one. We still have the 618 above us, the 618 at a resistance area, so we could still tap this. So you don't want to put everything into alts, but you are at a reasonable area to start buying, which is what we've been doing, right? I think I called a dot long yesterday before alts started sending, and I called an LDO long right before I got back. Because in general, yeah, I think it's a really good time to buy alts. It's a good time to start layering in on them. Just slowly buy, just slowly allocate more, then sell a bit once we go higher, and just keep the rotation going. Alts are becoming a lot more interesting than BTC in general. Which is also why I wanted to do the stream, right? Because I wanted to prepare everyone for which alts you should be buying and which alts you shouldn't be. Alright. Okay. Then the other thing you can indicate that on, like knowing when the bull run is going to start, is USDT dominance. This chart is inversely correlated to crypto in general. So this chart down means crypto up, this chart up means crypto down, which is what you can see here. Crypto has been going down in this entire period. And we tapped my resistance area. This is the area I signaled, right? I put this in my channel, said like, well, if we're gonna touch this area, we are gonna reverse most likely. Well, we tapped the area and we are reversing now. These kinds of resistances are like a really good area of knowing where we can possibly reverse. So yeah, USDT dominance at resistance, and we're rejecting BTC at support and BTC dominance at resistance. Good area to buy alts in general. Okay, that is everything I wanted to talk about directly. If you have any questions, you can put them in chat. I collected some chart requests I had over the day, and I've put them all into this folder so we can start looking at these. If you have any coins you want me to look at, we can do that as well. A coin that like AVAX is a really good example of a coin that looks pretty good, broke out, and actually retested the range, right? So if I were to clear this chart up a bit, you can see that we had this consolidation range. I would put it like this personally. We had this consolidation range. We went up, we retested it, we went up a lot. We tapped the exact previous resistance over here, and we dropped back down. Now, what area would you actually be looking for on AVAX? What I usually do on this is I start with, for example, some fibs. I start looking at, well, where are we? Well, we're currently at the 707, but we're putting in a bearish retest, so I think we go a bit lower. So I'll start looking at this 786, for example. And 786 is usually have a few things. They have ciphers, which I had already marked previously. Would be here. We have a nice cipher on there, and if we go on a bit of a lower time frame, we have some other things over here. There's like there's some kind of guardian on the 786 as well. So this is actually an area I would be looking to pick up some AVAX spot. Yeah, this is like an area of interest on AVAX for me. And looking at a higher time frame, that's where this target comes from. If I put up a, what's it called? If I start pulling an harmonic from our second highs to what we're at right now, put it over here, we would get a Gardley. And a Gardley would put us at about 83 USD, which would be a first target. So this is basically my plan for AVAX. I am planning to pick up spot AVAX over here, around 25 to 23. The technical stop loss would be all the way down here. I will probably not use that. I will probably zoom in a little. Use this demand zone here as a stop loss, so I would probably put it over here. Because we have like quite a bit of volume here, right? If we lose this and start accepting below, I think we just go back lower into the previous range. So this would essentially be my AVAX play. Put over here. The 886 would be over here, which would form a deep Gardley. So this is essentially my plan for AVAX. I think it's going to go to 25, we can buy there, it's going to go up, and we can start a short over in this region. I'm not actually probably going to use this short because, well, it's a 3 risk to the reward for like a massive drop. So it's not really worth it, but this will be a really good area for AVAX. Actually, I'll just put everything in my channel later if you want to look it back. So that way no one has to like go searching through the Unity stage if they want to look back at the chats. Pyre was another one someone wanted me to look at. And this coin, this doesn't look all too good. We have broken this like previous range we had over here. We've broken this consolidation range. So we've gone above this. We went above, we retested, right? We went up again, and now we have entered back into this range. That is a very bad sign. So if we start falling back into this range and we start actually accepting here, we're gonna have a really hard time going up again. Because this area, essentially this line, is gonna act as like a massive resistance now. We also formed this bearish order block over here. So you kind of only have what's it called? You kind of only have like bearish things above you. You have like you form like 2 weekly bearish order blocks, which is really bad. And you fell back into this range, which if we would pull a volume profile, you're gonna see that this is like pretty significant amount of volume. We haven't fallen below the POC at least yet, but this is like you don't want to see this. You don't want to see coins falling back all the way into this range. And one of the causes for this is probably that Pyre is like a gaming token, and gaming tokens usually have really bad tokenomics, which always makes it a bit iffy. We do have some nice M shapes here, so gonna be looking at. Yeah, we have a butterfly here, the 1272, somewhere around here. That would be good if we flipped that at least. Do we have anything else? Could have the cipher here. I think that's a 618 bounce at least. Yeah, that's a 618 B point, and then we kind of rejected the cipher. That's really not a good sign. We would have a cipher over here in this area, but as you can see, we kind of just completely ignored it, which is a really bad sign. Ignoring that cipher always tells you, like, yeah, this coin just doesn't have that much buying pressure. People don't actually want this coin. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're looking for, right? We are looking for coins that people want and that are underpriced. It is not really a valid chart here. So a coin like Pyre is like, this is a really good example of something you don't want to see. It fell back into the old range. It's back in an area with like a massive amount of volume. It's like rejecting harmonics, and you're gonna see that on every trading cell, right? Pyre has broken things on like every trading cell. Like if you're an ICT trader, you gotta see this as a change of character, right? This is really bad. If you trade like what's it called? If you trade chart patterns, you're gonna see like, well, or market structure, you're gonna see like, well, this is a lower high, right, on the macro. If you trade chart patterns, you're gonna just zoom in and see, well, it's kind of just going down, not even wedging. Like there's not really anything here. So this is pretty bad. The only thing I would look for is if we start flipping this, you can enter this on the retest. I'm gonna put the long position here so people realize that it's a trigger. In which case you would be able to look for higher, but I honestly doubt it. This would be the trigger though. Alternatively, what you can do is you can short like the top of this, like the bearish order block, for example. So put it over here and just short it back to the bottom of the range. Yeah, that will be an option as well. Because this is like a major area of resistance, right? So that's Pyre. Bonk actually looked a lot better. I looked at this earlier today when someone suggested it. And Bonk actually looks pretty good. You have this support line here. You had a pretty good harmonic over here, I think. It was here, right? Yeah, what's this one? Yeah, I have this 886 here for deep carding. And if I go on a lower time frame, can maybe even see a deep grab here. No, okay, not really. Oh yeah, that's yeah. We've reclaimed this 618 at least, so that looks pretty good. This chart, as you can see, like by the amount of M shapes I can see here, right? This chart looks a lot more lively than something like Pyre, which we just looked at. It's like you can already, by every way of charting, you can already see, like, yeah, this chart looks like a way better than Pyre, right? Because looking at the same chart, Pyre is currently in this area. And Bonk is actively rejecting that area. It's actively staying above it. So I think something like Bonk looks really good. You would probably be able to go for a type 2 here, because the 786 of this is also viable. It didn't react properly. Yeah, you tap that 786 exactly. So the technical play would be something like this. This is probably not long you would take because it wouldn't make sense to put your stop loss there, right? But I'm gonna mark it here anyway. What I would look at is a flip of this yearly VWAP instead. So like this. Maybe form a 5-0 on the way there. Yeah, that's essentially a pretty good 618 bounce. Yeah, I think this looks a lot better. I would probably long this 5-0 and I don't know where it's gonna be yet. Because if this ends up being all the way over here, right, if we end up rejecting off the VWAP, then this 5-0 is gonna be a lot higher. It's gonna be somewhere over here. So highly depends. I think it could react on the 1618 here. I think that's the most likely scenario. And if it does, gonna be looking for a long somewhere in this area. With the stop loss being XA 618, which is over here. Should be a pretty good long. You can pull this up pretty high. At least like up until the first target's over here. I think Bonk looks a lot better. This is something I would go for in Bonk, but you would need like you would need some confirmation. You would need this to confirm, like to confirm the pattern, and then drop back down to the 0.5. FCM is actually a chart I already have charted. I think FCM looks absolutely amazing. FCM has like a macro bet on OXSO. I've never actually heard of that token. I'll look at it after FTM. FTM has like this macro bet over here, 886, exactly on top of this range and on top of VAH, right? So you could go for a long like this. We might have already front ran it with that wick. It's like I don't really care if we front ran it. There's a lot of chart like this. If we actually tap the 886, I'm gonna long FTM heavily here and just buy some spot, because that's a really good area to buy. Like volume wise, harmonic wise, etc., this is a really good area to buy. And it's like an exact example of what I talked about earlier. You want coins to break out of this range and you want them to retest it. This candle right here, this hammer, might just be the retest we were waiting for in FTM. That might just be your sign that, like, yeah, FTM is ready to go higher now. That's FTM. I think it's OXO, right? Or is it ZRX? What's the ticker, Brecking? Oh, I think that's it. What's this token? It's like OXII, so it's probably like an ETH token, right? That would put it at a pretty good narrative. These wicks are disgusting. Such a low cap coin. That's a pretty good guard, you know, if you put it after candle closes. Oh, it doesn't matter. It's really fine, to be honest. Coins like this are fine, but it's like if it has such a low market cap, it's gonna be hard to leverage trade because you're gonna see wicks like this, right? So if you're gonna take this on leverage, wicks like this can just wick your stop loss and be completely fine after. But the price action itself looks good. Like, this is not a bad token because you can see, like, same thing I pointed out on Ondo, right? Consolidated, moved up. Consolidated, moved up. Consolidated, moved up. Like, it's relatively fine. Like, for a low cap coin, this is pretty good price action. And if I go on a bit of a higher time frame, we can probably draw. I do this on a line chart actually. You can probably draw a pretty good trend line as well here. Yeah, it's the trend line is not gonna work exactly because, well, the wicks are not really representative of the price, but you can see the price compressing here. So yeah, I think this coin looks good. I'll add it to the request section at least. If I pull a RSI, it should look fine as well. Yeah, on the daily you have some desire. That's not really a bull diff. But this coin looks a lot better. It looks like you're bouncing off of this demand zone you created earlier. Kind of deviated below and then wicked it. Yeah, you just grabbed all of the liquidity from there and bounced up again. It's like liquidity that was sitting right here. Like, all of their stop loss just got wicked and it pushed up again. So this chart looks surprisingly good. I actually look at it later, and if this is actually like a kind of decent coin, I might consider a play on it. I'm gonna say it ahead of time though, you need to be careful with coins like this if you trade leverage on it, as I said before, because these wicks can really mess you up. Like, a wick like this can just tag your stop loss, get the liquidity, and then send back up, right? So something like this is only good for spot, really. Or if you want to play with a soft stop, which is risky on its own on a low cap. Thoughts on bread. I didn't actually add bread. I got asked about bread, but I didn't add it. Let's see. Oh yeah, this was bread. So bread, I think bread had this massive 5-0 up here. Not really, it kind of front ran it. I think bread looks relatively good. For a meme coin chart, I think Popcat looked the best by far. So I talked about Popcat a lot, right? And I posted it on my Twitter. Like, I called it on Twitter, but I couldn't find like a good enough entry to put in a Unity. But Popcat looks the best out of the meme coins IMO. Red looks really good as well. Because if you take this, right, if you take this fib, you can already see, like, we're respecting the 382, we're closing above it. We've previously used this 236 to 214 range as a support and resistance, and we are now above it. So what I'm expecting also on bread is something like this, where we just come and retest this area over here, then go up and do the same. This is really good price action for a meme coin. What I do think is that there should probably be an M shape on there. It's like not really it. Let's see. It could be like a cipher over here. This is the first time I'm actually fully charting bread, so I don't actually know where the harmonics are. Yeah, you do have a cipher here on this bearish order block. So I'm expecting this push that we're having right now to end like somewhere over here. Yeah, I'm expecting this to end somewhere over here. You could short it, technically, over here, and set this 382 as a final target. The risk reward isn't that good on this, so I probably won't be taking this short. And then we could look to long this retest if we do get one. Or do we actually have a 5-0? I think we do. Yeah, the ratios are a bit on the high side, but it does look like you have one. Yeah. If I put it on the candle close, you do. We'll look at Ron. That, yeah. I'll look at it if we have extra time, but I really dislike that coin. I'll look at it at the end though, I'll remember. Yeah, so if we put it on the candle close, which is allowed on liquidity grabs, and I think this was one, you would have a nice 5-0 here. We can set the stop loss as X2A 618, which is over here. This would be your long. You would probably target higher, heavily TP the cipher. Something like this would be really good. I think this area or either a retest of this or a retest of this would be ideal. So I think we tap the cipher and we either send from here, or we tap the cipher and we do something like this, consolidate, and then send after. I think that looks really good in general. Like you've completely broke structure, you're forming some good harmonics, so I like it. So that's it for Brett. This is a good chart. I wanted to showcase Sei because I think Sei, and this coin is getting a lot of hate, right? People absolutely hate this coin for some reason. Sei is at a really good area. We had this old demand zone over here. This is a 3-day order block. We have another demand zone over here in this area. And all of those are aligning with like multiple harmonics. Like we have a deep cap over here, the green one. We have, what's this? We have a bat over here, like a really big one. And we have like something very close. It's got very close to the cipher over here, right? The X to B is like slightly within ratios instead of on the exact ratios. But this is like a really good area of interest. And I personally like this coin. I know it's getting a lot of hate, but well, in my opinion, things like hate, things like FUD, bad news, like all those things, they get priced in. If people are hating on a coin for like what's called for like several weeks, right? Because this coin has been getting shit talk from all the way over here. So it's like 160 days. Everyone that actually hates this coin has already sold it. Like there is no one that hates this coin that's left to sell, right? Like who's gonna sell Sei at these prices? So this is an area where you're gonna really want to look into coins like these because, well, all of the bad news you're seeing is already priced in. It's like all of the news and all of the things that people talk about, like it is priced in. That is the reason why we're this low. That is not the reason why we would go even lower. Bad news like this is not a reason to go lower. It's the reason why you're already here. So Sei is an area of interest for me. I've added some spot backs here. My original buys for Sei were like over here on the breakout. I sold most of it at $1, and I've started adding back here because this is a really good area for me. So I haven't called it yet. I probably will soon call some safe spot, but this is a really good area. I got requested tube a lot, so I'm just gonna show this chart because, well, I've already charted it a few times. I think tube. Like these are the consequences of the absolutely inefficient move up we had. Sei had that as well, right? That's also one of the reasons why we're this low. You can see on the move up that we have basically left no support. Like we have had these massive candles up with almost no time to build actual price structure. We kind of just went up parabolic, right? We didn't really form anything, which is the reason why the moment we started dropping just as hard as we pumped. And tube is almost at an area where there's actual volume and actual price structure. And you can see that, like, we're coming close to the area and we're bouncing. So I'm expecting us to bounce off this VWAP over here and off this previous support. And then go lower, tap this area, maybe consolidate a bit, and then go higher. And this is also a thing we talked about at the start of the stream, right? This is your consolidation area. We went up, we didn't even flip it to support. This is a chance to flip it to support. And on the flip to support, that's generally when you want to buy the coins. So this is like the first area where I will consider adding backs to Juke. This is like the first area of interest for me. So I'm gonna look at something like this for Juke. Okay, more requests. Ron. I think Ron has like a lot of data, right? So it should be fine by just adding these. No Binance. Oh, there's no Binance, okay. Let's see which one is the most data. Oh. Yeah, I think it's this one. Okay. Is it this one though? Yeah, I think it is, okay. Yeah. That's a horrible coin. That's a horrible price action. Okay, we have a consolidation area over here. Which we haven't really flipped the support yet, like kind of over here, but not really. We kind of front ran it. If we would pull a fib, I think this is the lowest point over here. Kind of sitting in the middle of nowhere. We're kind of just in the middle of nowhere on Ron, honestly. Like we're at a weekly, right? We kind of have a weekly break here, but it's not even at an FPG, so it's not even a unicorn setup, right? It's like not really anything. But we bounce off the mid, right? I think that's the only thing you have going for you here is that you bounce off this mid. So that looks okay. That's not something to base a play off of. Let's see. Let's pull the fib from here. Yeah, okay. You're at the 786 from this. That's good at least. The 786 is kind of reacting, but not in a way you would want to, right? You would want to see significant closes above already. We have a good support area over here, which I don't usually use, but this is a very clear one. And this probably, you can draw some sort of scuffed head and shoulders on this as well. Possible. Stops above the 618 over here. I would short it back to this range at least. I would short this if it goes a bit higher. Or remove the fibs for clarity purposes. I just add a mark here. 786. Let's see if we have any good M shapes. This 0.5 pounds is good. That would put us at an 886 over here. So we have a nice bet over here. That could actually be a good area. We have more. This is 618 bounce that would probably align. No, okay. Yeah, no, this goes way too low. Deep crab will, I mean, the crab will go way too low. I don't think we react to this. But it is a good test, yeah. We kind of do react to harmonic. So this area over here, you can see that we tapped that 786 on the Godly, and we reacted really well. We bounced really well. So this coin does kind of react to harmonics. It's just that the price action on every other way is kind of bad. So yeah, I think that this would be the first area I would be looking for longs. Yeah, draw when the candle closes. I think something like this. And then these two P's are not final because they are based on the lowest point you go the moment you react to the harmonic. But just to give an estimate. These will probably be your TPs, which would align with yearly VWAP as well. So this will probably go a bit lower, and then it would be yearly VWAP. So I would be looking for something like this. But I have no reason to actually think that this goes up, apart from the single 786 bounds, right? So it's really hard to say if it's actually going to go up. Oh yeah, Beam looks really good. Like, really, really good. I'm probably going to long Beam soon. And I'll call it in my channel as well. Okay, so this is, that's it for Ron. Yeah, that is my Beam chart. I can remove this one for clarity. This is essentially what I'm looking at. Your ideal entry would have been over here, which is almost perfectly a 1618. Stop loss below the talking problems. Stop loss below the 1786, and then we would see a lot higher. There was a bat over here. I'm gonna mark the 886 actually. Oh, I already did. I'm gonna mark this 886. About 886. My trigger for this long is for us to reclaim this 886. If we reclaim this 886, I will probably signal it as well. Then Beam looks really good. Because we're sitting at a good, we're sitting at a demand zone, right? You said that as well. You have this daily engulfing candle over here, which would align with my 886. And we kind of have this support area over here. And okay, completely honest, I don't use regular support areas because I personally like harmonics more and fibs more. But let's see, that I still have a channel area. So this would essentially be your support area, right? Somewhere like this between the wicks. I kind of tapped the half point of that, so this looks good, yeah. I'm looking for a reclaim on this, and if it reclaims, I will absolutely long. This is a really good chart. I really like it. So that's it for Beam. Your opinions about Zach. I know Zcash has like some stuff going on with BlackRock. I think that's really good. But I think this coin, until it actually starts forming breakouts, this coin is like... Okay, the RSI on this coin might be the best one you'll ever see. I'm gonna be honest about that, right? This might be the best RSI you're ever gonna see. Because these are consistent higher lows on the RSI and consistent lower lows on price action. But buyers, like even though the RSI is increasing, buyers are simply not stepping in. Like this coin is not being bought. It's at the point where you're at the danger, and this is probably not the oldest chart, right? But it's at the point where you're at the danger of taking out this liquidity. So not from a more harmonic point of view, but volume point of view, right? I think we tap this liquidity over here. I'll pull a line there. I think we tap these stop losses. Stop loss. We tap that, we take this liquidity, and then we have a chance of going up. Until that happens, this is the textbook example of what I showed at the start of the stream of a coin that has not broken out of its range yet, even though Bitcoin rallied like 550%, and this coin is just completely stayed behind. Do we have any M shapes? Probably. I think there's a butterfly here. That's 786 and that's an 886. That would put you way too low. I don't think Zcash is gonna go to negative $160. I'm not that bearish. So this coin, like, I like it. It has some narrative things, but there's like no reason to play it until we start seeing at least something like this, or until we wick this and close above again. Either of those would be a good trigger. But this is like, it's like such an old coin. It has so many bag holders, and it doesn't have any volume or price action, so it's really hard to judge. So I might just need to take this liquidity or start forming higher highs. I'll add it to the suggestions thing so I can post it later. Tip wanted me to look at Cardano, which I don't know why, because I don't know why you would look at Cardano, but let's do it anyway. Cardano has like, it's a good example of well as well, right? We have the range, the bear market range. We have dropped back into it, and dropping back into it is a bad sign. Like, simple as that. This is not a good sign. You want to see at least like the monthly close above this, but that's in 5 days. So I don't know. I don't think we will, but let's see if we do. Let's look at it on a lower time frame because I know the macro on ADA is unbelievably boring. Should have a cipher here. It's either a cipher or a shark. Oh, that didn't snap to the correct wick, but it is what it is. Yeah, we have a cipher here on the 786. That's good. I'm gonna remove this for clarity. We have this cipher. We'll mark it. We have anything else? Oh, I don't think there's a bat from there. That's 0.66, that sucks. Can't get it to a 786 either. Oh, you have a deep crab on this low though. That's good. ULX. Oh yeah, it's impressive how you only have coins that I've never heard of before. That's honestly impressive. It's a cipher plus a deep crab. It's a crypto from a blockchain. Well, most cryptos are from blockchains. That's that's a very common thing. So let's see. I think Tip was looking at an AMD setup. I don't trade those, but you do have some kind of AMD setup going on here. I don't like these setups, but well, you have it, so as a compliment. Something like that. We have more. I think ADA does. I think we had a deep crab over here as well. Or a 1618 butterfly. Yeah, we have a 1618 butterfly here as well. ADA has a lot of harmonics in this area. This was actually, like, this area was actually a really good area to buy. This area. If you ever wanted to pick up some ADA, this was probably the area. You could probably even set limits for this too. Or just straight up CMP a low amount and then layer in once we go lower and then cut if we go, what's it called? Like maybe on this daily order block over here. You would cut if we go below this box. If like this demand zone over here, I would look to cut if we start closing below that. And your target, you'll probably just target this. Yeah, it's absolutely sending. I think everything is going though. Yeah, everything is doing well. Yeah, this looks good. And the major TPs would be somewhere along these lines. TP1. TP2, TP3, and TP4. And considering that you're building it off of a lower time frame harmonic as well, I would probably actually take this as TP1. Yeah, I think something like this. ADA looks surprisingly good. Even though this coin always looks really bad. And I mean, it's showing it, right? That's the importance of this consolidation. It's like we tapped it and we're sending it now. We tapped this volume and we're sending it. Which coincided with like 3 harmonics on the same spot. I would have probably called this if I saw it in advance, but obviously don't chart ADA like that often, because it's like, why would you chart it? But this coin looks surprisingly good. That's ADA. Okay, let's look at it. brother, it's only on Maxi. Like, is this the one? Is this the one you want me to look at? Okay, I'm gonna give you some very honest advice here, right? Since you said you were new, stay away from this. This is bad. If charts go down in essentially a straight line instead of doing this, right? You can do something with this. You can like short these highs. You can short that. If price is going up like this, you can long the lows. You can do stuff with that, right? If price goes up like this or down like this, don't touch it. The only exception to this rule is like the SPX or like the very large index funds, because those do just go up in a line. Everything else you just don't touch. Like, you just don't touch this, because like there's no actual price action. It's just very slow selling and nothing happening. So it's very, very honest advice here. You just stay away from this. Like, if you actively trade, you want to look for an advantage you have over the market, right? In something like this, there isn't even a market. It's a crypto I bought a year ago. Oh no. That is not good. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's like sometimes you make really bad purchases, right? If you're not down like that much, I would honestly look to consolidate it into something else. Because there are so many coins right now that are at like such cheap levels where you can just buy it, come back in like a year or something, and the price will be higher. Like, most likely. Like, even if you don't want to take a risk, you just want to put it into ETH, like, you can just buy ETH and put a sell order at 6k, and it will fill sometime, probably. Like, if I go on ETH, and I go on an index chart to show the high time frame. Oh, I'm not gonna go on that index chart, that's pure chaos. If I go on ETH, and I go on an index chart, gonna scare everyone away if I go on the one with the fibs. I can simply chart this. We had a 786 bounce, so we have several levels. We have a level here. We have a level here. And we have one here. These are my high time frame levels for ETH. This is like, this is something you want to look at. A lot of alts, because of ETH, are like in such a spot where they're like so cheap that if you're not down too much on some really bad coins, right, it is a good moment to start, like, to just take some time. And you don't have to sell everything, right? But I highly recommend to just take some time and think, like truly think about, what do I want to hold in my spot bag for the upcoming phase of the bull run. Like, just look at your bags and be like, well, do I actually want these coins? Do I think they are going to perform well? Because in the end, you want to make a profit, right? You want coins that you think will perform really well. So, for example, like Ethereum, I think Ethereum will perform really well. And the risk to reward is decently low, because I think like, yeah, I don't think ETH will go below this range, right? So realistically, I'm not looking at like a very, very deep decrease. And if it goes lower, I can simply buy it over here. So ETH is not that risky for me, and the targets are relatively high, right? For the risk. It's like about a 2x. Why can't he short it while it's going down? About ULX. Okay, you can short it, but if I go back on ULX, and I go on a daily time frame, right? It is a low market cap coin with low liquidity, which you can see judging by the wicks, right? There is not really any price action. Like there are like very small movements, but it's like essentially down in a straight line. So what you can see is that, for example, if you waited on one of those pumps, and if you wanted to short here, if you shorted this pump, you put it below like the last wick, you got stopped out. If you shorted like anywhere over here on the confirmation, so let's say you waited for a break of this low, you shorted, well, you took some profits, put a break even, well, you got stopped out. You didn't take profits, or you put it on like the wicks over here, well, you got stopped out. Charts like this that go down in a straight line don't have things built up that regular charts have, because every time price moves like this, liquidity is going to get built up on these lows. So you know that if you were to go back down, that you can at least expect some reaction on the zone, right? Which is why you can reliably, if you're long, so let's say I would long here, you can reliably put your stop loss below it, below this area, because there's liquidity there, right? There are orders there. If it goes back down, the orders will get filled and the price will go up. A chart like this doesn't have any orders, because where would the sell orders be, right? Everyone is just selling at CMP. Where would the sell orders be? Well, I don't know, honestly. Like maybe there are some over here, right? You could have some reasonable sell orders over here. Well, all of the sell orders, they got wicked out over here. In general, especially if you're new, stay away from coins that have these massive wicks. These wicks are a sign that the coin has a very low market cap and or low liquidity. So yeah, you can short it somewhat, but there's no reasonable place for you to short, so you can't properly manage your risk. And there's no security that it will actually follow the price pattern, because there is no price pattern. It's just going down. It's fine to invest some more coins. I did because it's from a new blockchain, but I wanted to know a pro opinion. Yeah, I mean, that's what I said, right? It's like, it's okay to hold coins like this. Like, I've taken some gambles-ish in the past as well. For example, this coin. I was in this coin, right? I bought it somewhere over here. I sold some, like a part of this over here, so it's a free bag, and I was just kind of slowly going down. Like, some low caps truly have potential, right? So yeah, you can reasonably play them if you know how to manage your risk. If you go in with lower size, if you have enough for other plays, because you can make significant profit off of it, but the risk is really high. Like the risk of a coin like this is just simply really high because there's no true demand for it. Which is why the risk on something like ETH is a lot lower, because, well, people want the Ethereum. Like, we have an ETF coming up, we have, well, the general price action, we have a lot of stuff on chain, a lot of stuff on layer 2s. People want the coin. So your general risk is going to be lower, same with Bitcoin. And with like an on-chain new coin, like ULX or like Sailor in this case, it's like, well, you can take a risk on it, you can take a shot on it because the reward is really good. But it's also really hard to manage your risk, so you can really only play it with really small amounts. So to put it into comparison, I only put 10% of my regular spot units into it. So let's say a regular spot unit would be 1k. I would have only gone in with $100 on this one, because, well, there's no reason to do more than that. Your risk is really high on coins like these. That's something like people suggested me Parcel as well. Like, people wanted me to look at this. Parcel is another example of this, right? And as far as I know, this is the newest chart. I checked around a bit, but it's like I can't find anything else, right? This is exactly like what I'm talking about. Parcel at least is for like forming some price action. Like, you kind of have an established low over here, There were buy orders over here. You can see that. Price tapped it a few times and bounced off every time. This price action. This is a lot better already. Like, people are trading this coin at least. So you can reasonably say, well, we now have this area of established support that people are probably going to look to sell. If we go back down here, we front ran it a bit, but we essentially tapped it, right? So you could have taken the short, essentially. Don't know where it will take you, but you could have taken it. If I take a FIP pull from here, yeah, we're sitting at the 1272, so this actually isn't all that bad. Let's see. I don't think I can draw any M chips on this, honestly. Does anyone know if there's like a new chart of Parcel? I don't know who suggested it, but I run appreciate the knowledge. Yeah, glad to have you here, mate. It's really fun. It's good to. I really like having so many people in chat and stuff. It's really nice. So thank you. Catch you later. Yeah, I think this is everything, honestly. I think this chart is just like, there's like not much on here. So lower load is probably gonna form a lower high and then go back down. Yeah, it was another one. I have some massive unlocks coming up, I think. I mean, it's downtrending, this coin, but it doesn't look all too bad. So this is like a coin which I would put into the category I talked about earlier, where like, yeah, this is in a downtrend, but people are trading it. So you can reasonably say, okay, well, I want to take risks at certain areas. Let's see, what do we have? We have a 618. Well, 618 will put us all the way down here. That's not good. We have... That's not really anything. Price action is hard on this one. It doesn't align with any of the FIB numbers. Okay, we have a 618, is it? Kind of there. Yeah, 618 to 113. This is a shark at least. Yeah, that's actually a nice shark. We can take the XA1272 as a stop loss. I'm going to remove this one because it's just free clutter. Put this right here. And put a 5 out to 0.5 because, well, people that were there from our harmonics class or that watched it back know every shark will turn into a 5-0. So that would be a reasonable short opportunity. So I would say something like this. For the end of your class, would you briefly share your 2 cents on entering ETH BTC late now? Would you enter? Would you skip? I'll answer it more in depth in a bit. General consensus is that I think ETH is in a very good spot to layer in. I think ETH's in a good spot. Reasonably speaking, I think that if you buy ETH at this point, that there's a very high likelihood that you will be up a lot in like half year, a year and a half. Like you will be up like in the near future. There's like a very good narrative for ETH. 50.5 over here. And just like a sharp 113. Somewhere over there. AI looks a lot better than I thought at first, at least. Okay, talking about ETH BTC, right? ETH and BTC. If we go on a higher time frame, if we go to BTC, it's over BTC, right? That's important. This was a test. I'll stay on this chart because I have a lot of data on this chart, right? So mind the fibs. BTC is at the highs. We have been consolidating for so long, but we are still sitting at an important area. If we go like a higher time frame, we are still closing or like sitting above an area where we weren't even able to close before, right? This is going to be the 4th monthly close on this area. Like if you take this liquidity area over here, it's going to be the 4th monthly close in this area. This leads me to believe that we are higher. Like the price is ready to go higher because we wouldn't be accepting here if it wasn't. If it wouldn't be accepting here, we would see something like we saw over here, right? Where we tap the area and just drop back down. Like simple as that. But if I take, this is a very interesting thing here. If I take a fib extension from the COVID lows to the high, to this, to our bear market lows. Let's see, do I have this organized? Close this for a second. You can, and go on the log chart, you can see something very interesting in that. If I zoom in now, we are sitting around, oh, that's actually a Binance wick. I think I have this on some other chart. This chart was it? Okay, now. The interesting part here is that on the index chart, we have our mid-range like right over here. On the trend-based fib. And on the regular trend-based fib as well, we have our 886 right over here. It is really, this gives reason to think that, well, we went back, tapped this 618, we flipped it back to support, we have reason to think we're going to go higher. And put it a bit into a lower time frame because I've charted a lot more here. I called this in advance on my channel. I said if we tap this bat, I think we go higher. This is a very important area. Well, once you have it, we tapped the bat, we went higher. This is where we rejected, and this is where we opened some longs, and where I personally got into a lot of spot. So I think BTC, reasonable area to buy. I do think is rather high. But I can share some insight on what I'm personally doing. Is whenever I make profit on spot, I will put like 5% of the profit. I would just buy BTC. Like I'm just slowly stacking up BTC to diversify and to have a big bag, because I think BTC in the long run is gonna go a lot higher than we are now. Like my super long-term targets for BTC are high to the point where I think like, yeah, it's reasonable for me to slowly buy it. So I just want to buy it, and I've just been buying BTC very slowly over the past few months, right? Just buying, and eventually, like in a few years, I'll see where I end up. But for actual like spot trading, I think BTC is in an alright spot. You could probably buy it in this area. You would TP mid-range, which is like, let's see, I would just take the 0.5 of this as mid-range. You would TP somewhere over here. This is about your mid-range. This is where you would TP at first, and then your second TP would be somewhere on this D point. If you buy here, you will probably, you're looking for, okay, well, this first TP is only like 3%, right? Second TP would be like 15%. That's fine. That's good for a spot trade. So BTC, reasonable. Now, the interesting part is when we go to ETH. Right there, you go. That's the wrong chart. Is when we go to ETH. ETH, on a higher time frame, is lagging behind BTC by quite a bit, right? We haven't even tapped all them highs yet. ETH has a lot of sell pressure because it has been performing pretty bad. But if you look at ETH itself, just draw some standard fibs, this is not a bad area. Because if you look at this, like we have a 618 here, we went through, got back down, flipped 0.5 to support, went back up to the 786 again, got rejected again, and we're flipping to 618 to support. And all of that on this weekly breaker block over here. This is a good sign, like a really good sign. We're also flipping this to support over here, these blocks. So this is a really good sign. And when you look at like the narratives ETH would have, we have the ETF coming up. That's going to bring a lot of volume. We are still consolidating in this range. We think BTC is going to go up, so ETH could go up with it. And we have some very, very high time frame harmonics. Like we're, because of this 786 bounce, we formed the potential to form this butterfly, which would put us at 6k, 6.5k, or 7.3. So all of these would be reasonable targets for ETH. So that's like, you're looking at essentially a 2x. So looking at both of them, I think ETH is a lot better to buy. I think ETH is in a good spot. I think BTC is good because, well, it's BTC. Like, you want Bitcoin in your portfolio, it's as simple as that. So I've been slowly buying more Bitcoin. I think ETH is in a spot where I would reasonably buy it for short-term trades as well. So yeah, it might seem like you're late, and on BTC that's kind of true, but especially on ETH, like we're at a reasonable spot. Like if you look at this, for example, if you look at this area over here, well, yeah, you're kind of late on ETH. Like it just rallied a lot, right? Or if we would zoom in even more, we are near all-time. This would be near all-time highs. I think these are the COVID lows, right? No, they're not. Actually, these are, yeah. Or you can put it like over here, right? We are near all-time highs. Would you buy? Well, you are kind of late, but there's so much potential ahead of you. And I'm not saying that we're gonna have another massive run like that, right? I'm not saying that ETH is just gonna rally 200% in a few weeks, but I am saying that yeah, this is a reasonable spot for you to add ETH. So I really like this 382 bounce, because this A to C, this is the 382, right? Of A to B, 382 is your C point. That's a really good sign. That's essentially the optimal sign for a pullback in a bull run. And on top of that, and that is maybe one of the most hated charts. Yeah, I think it honestly, I think this is the most hated chart on TradingView. ETH BTC, and I'm gonna say it, and every time people have said it in the past, we went down instead. ETH BTC looks really good. Weekly bull dips, like a really big bull dips. We have finally tapped a really important support level over here. Like we tapped this, closed above. We SFP'd the wick. Like we went below, we closed above. We accepted it, and we bounced hard. Hard to the point where we now have an engulfing candle over here. It was really good. Like that's a really good sign. We are flipping monthly, quarterly, and yearly VWAP to support as we speak. At a wick down to yearly VWAP, bounced up. Really good. Like all of this is suggesting ETH will outperform BTC, because that's what this chart means, right? This chart up means ETH will outperform BTC. So I think ETH's in a good spot to buy. I really like ETH. I think the ETF's gonna do great. I think ETH is really underpriced, so I think it's a good spot to buy. And it does mean that you should like still manage your risk, right? Because while we are still kind of in the middle of a range, if we like lose this level over here, if we lose this, we will likely just see range lows. So you can add the rest over here, for example, because this would also be a good area to buy. And that also reflects my my most used ETH chart, which is this one. It's like, yeah, I think we go up here, where we are now. I also have a long charted here, which I'm in, but we have a lot of confidence in this area. If we ever come to this area, I will buy a lot of ETH. This is a really high conviction area for me. I think this area is really good for buys. Okay, I think I went over everything. Someone wanted me to look at the Nasdaq, but well, the Nasdaq is kind of just like, it's like what every high time frame stock chart looks like, right? Like the SPX and stuff, or like Nvidia, or the Nasdaq in this case. It's like it goes up. So like, no offense to the person that suggested this, right? But charting high time frame stock chart is kind of pointless, because it goes up. Stock goes up. It rejected of the 0.2 though, so we'll likely just do this. Stocks always do this. How much of your portfolio is on ETH? Percentage wise, it's like I think it's like I have my spot portfolio split up in multiple parts. So I have a long-term spot portfolio and I have a short-term spot portfolio. ETH is when I bought it was about 25% of my long-term. 25% long-term was ETH, 25 was BTC when I bought it. These ratios have all swapped, right? Because for example, I bought Ondo at the same time, which was at 27 cents, right? So Ondo is a much bigger part of the portfolio now. But when I made my long-term portfolio, it was about 25% ETH, 25% BTC on the long-term board, and a few other coins. How big of a percentage you want in BTC on ETH is like completely up to you, right? Something I've been doing, and I said this a bit earlier as well, is I've just been slowly shipping profits into it, just like gradually adding a bit of BTC or gradually adding a bit of ETH, just to diversify a bit, right? To have like this thing where, well, if alts are gonna go completely down, well, at least BTC can still go up. BTC dominance is gonna put it another high. Well, at least I have BTC, right? And I've been doing the same with other things as well. Like I've been doing the same with like gold, and I've been doing the same with the SPX, because well, why would you not want this, right? That's the thing. Diversification is very important.
Just get more eggs. They'll just get more eggs. They don't mind putting all the eggs in one basket one time. They'll just get more eggs. But it's 100% good advice. But how's everyone enjoying the stream, Grassity? I really appreciate you doing this. I was trying to join earlier, but I've just had back-to-back calls.
Yeah, that's no problem. Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, it's
Sure.
I've been really enjoying it. There's a lot of good questions as well. A lot of good coins. Like for example, like we went over why things like Zcash might run or might not, but why it's like you can't really trade this until there's anything significant, right? Like there's no reason to trade something like that over a coin like AVAX, which looks a lot better. We had some good questions, some good coins. Been charting a lot. It's a good stream.
No, for sure, man. Yeah, AVAX, I think like as long as we're holding the 22.5, I'm still bullish on AVAX. If we lose that, I'm then looking for around like, you could argue 18.8, but also mainly like $14 on AVAX. I don't think we'll see that low personally. I'm very bullish on AVAX. It's one of my most favorite projects, and I think there's huge upwards potential.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think AVAX is a coin that was really overvalued. Like AVAX at this point was not
Yeah.
worth like 65. Like there's no way.
I don't think it's overvalued, but the way in which I trade is like you've got to understand a token trading at $1, depending on the tokenomics. If it's 1 billion tokens, then if it's at $1 billion market cap, it's going to be at $1. That's how it correlates. So for AVAX, they may have different tokenomics, and also it depends on Bitcoin dominance, depends on Bitcoin, also depends on what AVAX is doing as a project. If their earning reports every year is decreasing, if maybe FUD comes out, it can all make effects. But this is why I recommend to trade the ranges, trade the levels, so you can at least manage risk that way and have more of a success with probabilities in estimating where price is going to go based on historical data.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like because in general I think overvalued was maybe not a good word, right? I think it was overvalued for the point of the cycle it was in. Like AVAX was so far ahead of every other coin in the cycle
So far ahead of its time.
because it ran so hard so early. While other coins were kind of lacking behind, so people just took profits and put it into different stuff, right? And now we're finally coming back into this area where I saw it on the daily as well, right?
Yeah.
There's like so much confluence in this area. It's like a good SR level as well. It's like a good demand zone here. So this is gonna be my area of interest for AVAX. Like I'm
I
probably
just
gonna add a good amount of AVAX here at 22, and my high time frame target is gonna be 83.
Yeah. 83. Okay. Okay, I see that. Yeah, that's reasonable. I mean, bro, I just missed AVAX at $5. Sub
Yeah.
$5 back in 2020. Hey,
Yeah, I miss Sol at 8. I want Sol at 8 again. And I miss Hondo with 27 cents,
yeah,
right?
bro. Oh, you know what it is with Solana, bro? I bought a lot of my Solana when it was like 15 and 30, and then I sold a lot of it at 60 just because at that point in time when Solana was 60, and I'm talking about in 2023, it was Bitcoin was under resistance, right? And I was thinking we were gonna reject there, and I was gonna get another entry. Um, but yeah, no, it ran the hard, and then I bought back at 100.
Yeah, good choice in the end, but it always feels bad, right?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like those prices in hindsight is like you may as well just hold that. But I was trading level by level at that point.
Yeah, at that point
Um,
when Sol was that cheap, I was still someone that actually traded NFTs. I'm glad I reformed,
mm,
but back then I wasn't. And it's like, why would you even do that if Sol was at like 15 or something and you can just buy Sol? Like, just get as much Sol as you can because Sol was so cheap back then.
yeah, yeah, literally, that's it, man. That's it. But anyway, bro, I do need to hop off. I've got another call. I think you're going to be wrapping up shortly anyway. But you guys, come on, huge shout out to Grassity for doing this class. Got 15 people in here. I understand, people are busy. It's a Tuesday, but respect. Huge shout out to you, brother. I appreciate it. Let's get some thank yous in the chat, guys. Come on, if you've enjoyed this,
Yeah, no, I really,
appreciate.
really appreciate that.
Yeah, appreciate all of you tuning in. I hope you're all enjoying your Tuesday as well. Amazing, amazing,
Yeah,
brother.
that's really good to
Cool.
see.
I'll leave it to you to wrap up.
Yeah, no, I was gonna wrap up anyway. Like we went through all of the calls, we went through some extra stuff and some extra questions. So unless someone has any questions, I think that's gonna be the end of the stream here. And for anyone that joined in late and stuff, everything was recorded, so it will be up on my YouTube channel later. I'll post it in my channel. I'll ping everyone. So if you want to see that, just make sure you get my ping so you get notified for it. Yeah, I appreciate all of you. Thanks for asking so many questions, Hawkins and Wrecking Bob. It's really good. Asking so many questions is the way to learn, right? So it's a really good sign. Yeah, you can rewatch it later, Boss Hog. All right. I'm gonna end the stream here then. I appreciate all of you for coming. And I'll see if I have another. What's it called? If I'll have another stream next week. Yeah, I do have a tutorial on harmonics. I had a class about it as well, and I'm gonna put like a big post on it. So I'll bump the message in a while. You can. I recommend rewatching that first class I gave because that was actually like my introduction course to harmonics.